A lovely evening and thank you for watching Times News. I am Edita Soko. First, the headlines. Government increases the 2020-2021 budget by 144 billion kwacha. President Lazarus Chakwera challenges students to be innovative in order to spur Malawi's economic growth. And Vice President Saulos Chilima highlights the critical role of engineers in the country's realization of sustainable development goals. We have these and other stories. Do stay with us. In our first news item, government has upwardly adjusted the 2020-2021 budget by 144 billion kwacha. This moves it from 2.19 trillion kwacha to 2.33 trillion kwacha. Minister of Finance Felix Mluso has attributed the increase to continued adverse effects of COVID-19 on the economy, but expressed optimism of better fortunes due to a good performance of the Affordable Input Program. We have more in this report by Audrey Kabalamula.
Mlusu says the country's economic growth for the next half of the financial year may be accelerated by the performance of agriculture due to success in implementation of Affordable Input Program and infrastructure development projects in the road, energy and agriculture sector. Mlusu says in the first half of the year, total domestic revenue collection amounted to 564.2 billion kwacha, instead of projected 600 billion kwacha. Government expenditure has been above the target of 974.6 billion kwacha due to unforeseen expenditures towards COVID-19, re-administration of Malawi School Certificate of Examination, and legal expenses, among others. The Finance Minister also indicated that the country's trade balance continues to worsen. As of December 2020, trade deficit widened to $566.7 million from $352.8 million recorded during the same period in 2019.
The budget is not off track. In the first 6 months of this year, our projected deficit, in fact borrowing, was projected at 348.3 billion kwacha. And that was in line with what we had planned. The actual one has turned out to be 351 billion kwacha. Just a difference of just under 3 billion kwacha. I do not believe or think that anybody can call that the budget is off track because of that, a difference.
On COVID-19 vaccine, he said the country needs about $120.2 million to cover the entire population, and the country has so far secured $4 million from development partners. However, Democratic Progressive Party spokesperson on finance matters, Joseph Mwanamveka, said the budget has not achieved what was initially planned in September 2020.
As we predicted, that the budget was not realistic. You have noted that revenues were not achieved as planned, and also even the expenditures, there was over expenditure. So indeed, as we said, the budget is off track because what was planned has not been achieved.
Parliament is expected to start commenting on the statement on Monday.
President Lazarus Chakwera has called upon students to open up their minds and think about innovative ways aligned to the Malawi 2063 blueprint to spur Malawi's economic growth. President Chakwera said this on Friday during Mzuzu University, Mzuni's 22nd virtual graduation at Grand Palace in Mzuzu, where he was also installed as the university's 5th chancellor. Feston Malegezo has this report.
This was the first of its kind graduation Nzun has held virtually amid COVID-19 pandemic. Giving out his first speech as Chancellor of the university, Chakwera said his administration has so far provided 1.3 billion kwacha for the construction of a library and auditorium, in the 2020-2021 budget from Zuni. Chakwera called upon the graduates to turn their minds towards the study and mastery of the Malawi 2063 for the future of the country. He said, pursuing the national vision is an enterprise that calls the graduates to create solutions in order to solve Malawi's problems. In his remarks, Zuni Vice Chancellor John Kalingasaka said they have commissioned a 15-member committee whose aim is to help in aligning the Malawi 2063 to the institution's programs.
We are in the process of finalizing a 10-year strategic plan as a successor for Mzuzu University. But we realize when HE, our state president, launched that Malawi 2063 vision, to which we would have participated in the discussion, now we needed to operationalize. How do you do that? Is to establish a technical group of 15 members, largely of youth for academics and other staff, so that we can relate our envisioning in relation to the Malawi vision.
One of the graduating students, Sylvia Chitseko, now a land surveyor, hailed the institution for holding the occasion, an event chaired by Senior Assistant Registrar James Kwagwanji. Chitseko says she has ideas that would help create jobs for others.
I'm so excited, like we have waited for almost the whole year while waiting to graduate. So I'm so happy now that we're having our degrees in our hand. So happy.
At least 1,189 students have graduated, who include 478 females, representing 40.2%.
Vice President Saulos Chilima has highlighted the critical role that engineers in Malawi have to play if the country is to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. He was speaking during the opening of the Malawi Institute of Engineers annual general meeting in Lilongwe. Rebecca Jimjega has a report read by Mandi Pondani.
Chilima says it's engineers who develop and implement technologies in systems, transport, communication and other infrastructure, such as roads and bridges. He explained that engineers come up with innovations that benefit the people and enable them to lead a better life, among other things. According to Chilima, the Tonse government is in the lead of ensuring that the country's engineers have the space to be able to offer the best services in the country. The vice president then pointed out that poor workmanship on some projects, like the Chipananga Bridge in Chikwawa, does not reflect well on the profession and has hence called for improved work standards and ethics. In her remarks, Deputy Minister of Transport and Public Works Nancy Chaulandoko said the conference marks a major milestone in the history of the engineering profession in the country.
This is an opportunity to celebrate important contributions of engineers and engineering to sustainable development and good life. It is an opportunity to usher in a new lease of life to the profession by electing the first ever MEI Board of Directors. But the government has been in the forefront in ensuring that our engineers have the space to be able to offer the best services in this country.
And chairperson of the Transition Committee of the Engineers, Engineer David Mzandu, says electing the first ever MIE Board of Directors is an opportunity to usher in a new lease of life to the profession. He therefore asked government to create an enabling environment for economic development to the engineering profession.
The engineering fraternity decided that maybe it's time we had a new legal framework to govern the regulation of engineering. So that's how the new act was enacted in 2019, and then it became operational on 1st of October 2020.
The Malawi Engineering Institution Act of 2019 repealed the Engineers Act of 1972 in order to provide a stronger and more effective legal framework.
Now, after rejecting the pilot phase of land law reforms, chiefs in Mzimba district have agreed to participate in the process of reviewing land laws which the Ministry of Lands and Center for Environmental Policy and Advocacy, CEPA, is advocating. Last year, Mzimba chiefs refused to take part in the pilot phase of reviewing the customary land laws, arguing it was against their traditional beliefs. The chiefs believe that they, and not the district commissioner, own the land. Weze Gausi reports.
Executive Secretary for Mibawa Development Trust, Felix Jele, said after consultations they agreed to be part of the land reform consultations. He, however, said they have drafted a proposal that they want to be included in the Land Act.
This last year in September, we invited Ministry of Lands to come and sensitize us about the contents of the Customary Land Act. And at that meeting, we brought 10 representatives from each of the 10 TAs of Mzimba. We invited all the Amakosi, the TAs, and we invited the other sister institutions like Mzimba Heritage Association.
Team leader for land reforms in the Ministry of Lands, David Chilonga, said the involvement of chiefs in land reforms was crucial.
As you may recall, that the state president of this country directed that the land laws should be reviewed again and should be presented before Parliament for consideration after consulting Malawians, interest groups.
Center for Environmental Policy and Advocacy (CEPA) Executive Director Herbert Mwalukomo expressed gratitude that chiefs were part of the interface.
Well, a number of lessons that we generated through that experience. Obviously, one of them is the need for ensuring that all the communities are well aware of the content of the laws, because the fact that we have come a long way in the land reform process does not necessarily mean that each and every person is fully aware of what these new laws are all about. So that is one of the key lessons that we actually encountered.
Some of the issues causing land controversy in the country include sale or grant of land to non-citizens, continued existence of idle land, both leasehold and freehold, and payment of various fees and charges on customary land, among others.
This is Times News. We'll be back with more shortly.
Your gums hurt?
Yeah.
Does your toothpaste contain sage, eucalyptus, myrrh, chamomile?
Oh, that in one toothpaste?
Yes, try Colgate Herbal. Colgate Herbal contains nature's best herbs and Colgate's fluoride technology to give you strong teeth and healthy gums.
Ah, Colgate Herbal.
Let's go. Colgate Herbal for strong teeth and healthy gums naturally.
If there's one thing that all soaps do, it's wash. From buckets to basins, bathrooms to streams, and everything in between.
All soaps wash.
Yes, but Protex is different. Its reinvented formula with flaxseed oil boosts your skin's natural anti-germ defenses by 10 times more, protecting you against 99.9% of germs. So what keeps us healthy?
Protex!
Good health starts here.
To achieve great things in life, you must do little things every day, like the 1, 2, 3 with Colgate.
1, wake up. 2, brush up. 3, smile through your day with a fresh breath and strong tea. Smile through your day with a fresh breath and strong tea.
Do the 1, 2, 3 with Colgate and give yourself a future to smell about.
Welcome back. Oxfam Malawi, through Family Planning Association of Malawi, FIPAM, has donated assorted items worth 25 million kwacha to Lilongwe District Health Office to help in comprehensive post-abortion care services. FIPAM Executive Director Donald Magwagwa said the donations follow a training they conducted on post-abortion care, which targeted public health service providers under Her Future, Her Choice project. Wezi Gausi reports.
According to Makwakwa, health providers needed equipment to discharge the required services.
We believe that these items are going to go a long way in terms of improving access to sexual reproductive health for young girls, because our focus mainly is on the young people. So we believe, I think this is an opportune time that we empower the district health office to have this equipment to continue to provide these services.
Oxfam Country Director Lingalireni Mihowa said the donated items were supposed to help in sexual reproductive health rights of women and girls.
It is to do with human rights, because under our constitution there are various rights that are enshrined, and if we are not able to access young people the right to their healthy living, the right to dignity, it means that we have also been a barrier to their enjoyment of what the constitution guarantees them.
Lilongwe District Nursing and Midwifery Officer Betha Kaudzu said the donation came at the right time when the hospital was in dire need of support.
It's going to assist our district. As you know that we are going through this crisis of COVID pandemic, and these items which have just been donated, they are going to assist our district in protecting our health workers as well as our patients from this infection as well as from other infections.
It has been revealed that the hospital sees a lot of women and girls seeking post-abortion care.
Mzuzu Central Hospital has turned to renting private homes to be used as isolation centers for its frontline health workers, spending about 500,000 kwacha monthly. Initially, the Central Hospital was using Mzuzu University and St. John's Institute for Health hostels, but can no longer do so due to the reopening of schools. We have the details in this report by Patience Lunda.
The hospital's director, Frank Sinyiza, said the hospital was supposed to start using an isolation center that the Football Association of Malawi, FAM, handed over to the facility, but they have delayed due to maintenance works at the place. Sinyiza made the remarks Thursday when the northern chapter of the Synagogue Church of All Nations, SCOAN, donated 5 oxygen cylinders, 2 television and decoder sets at the hospital. The isolation center in Luwinga was vandalized by an angry mob after learning that the facility was being offered to Ministry of Health to use it as a quarantine center for COVID-19 patients in May 2020. According to Sinyiza, the damages were fixed, but low water pressure remains the challenge.
The problem which we have is the water pressure. The water pressure is low. People have been on the site, our plumbers, to dig and to find what is the problem. So what they discovered is there have been a lot of leakages, and some of the pipes, I think, because the facility has been idle for some time, so the pressure in the main building is low. Emmanuel! Emmanuel!
But speaking after the donation, SCOAN North Chapter Chairperson Leonard Chibwe said the donation is in response to numerous challenges that the hospital is facing due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Chibwe said the grouping is committed to addressing challenges that communities are facing in the country.
We are following what our Father in the Lord, Senior Prophet T.B. Joshua, talks about love. You cannot talk about love, you cannot give it. The 5 gas cylinders you see, we have donated them to Mzuzu Central Hospital to assist patients who are COVID-19 positive.
The donation was worthy over 1.3 million kwacha.
The Polytechnic has launched a campaign to lure the public into assisting needy students by donating ICT gadgets or funds towards the purchase of the gadgets. The Polytechnic principal, Nancy Chitera, says the Buy a Gadget campaign came about as the college is adopting remote learning, which requires all students to have data bundles and ICT gadgets. She explains.
3 reasons why we are launching this particular campaign. The first one is because, as I said when I was making my speech, is that with the pandemic amidst us, we do not want to close the institution. We do not want to close even the education. We want to continue with whatever we have planned for our students. That's the first thing. Okay, because we cannot close forever. We don't know when this pandemic is going to clear. One. The second thing we are doing so is because we don't want to close, then we have moved to what we are calling it emergency remote teaching. and learning. And then in the emergency remote teaching and learning, we need two things: the gadget. It can be a laptop, it can be a tablet, it can be a good phone. Whatever it is that a student can use to access the lessons online. The third thing that we are doing this is because the trend worldwide is most of the universities, if not all, they have now gone online because they have also realized that they cannot close forever.
Rumpi District Forestry Office says it is targeting to plant 1.3 million trees during this year's forestry season, which ends in April. Though the number of trees planted in the district has gone down in the 2019 forestry season, Officer Jimomekanyika boasts of a 79.6% survival rate. We have this report.
Kanyika made the remarks Wednesday when climate change young leaders under Malawi's Kwagwanji partnership planted over 1,200 seedlings at Rumpi Secondary School. Climate Change Project Coordinator for Malawi's Kwagwanji Partnership, Hendrix Nkata, said his organization decided to establish a woodlot at Rumpi Secondary School to help the institution in the future to cut costs on buying firewood.
In Malawi, when you look at the population of Malawi, the youth are in majority. And we believe if we train the youth on these developmental aspects, we can see our nation developing. So we want to involve the youth on all aspects of development, including these climate change issues.
The school's deputy head teacher, Henry Mponera, said the school, which has 607 students, uses about 35 tons of firewood for cooking every term. Mponera said the development is worrisome to efforts of preserving the environment and has since asked for about 6 million kwacha to fix 4 electric poles that got broken some time back. Rumpi Secondary School spends over 800,000 kwacha to buy 35 tons of firewood every term.
And in international news, U.S. President Joe Biden commemorated on Thursday the 50 millionth shot of the COVID-19 vaccine since his swearing in, just days after the nation passed the 500,000 coronavirus deaths mark. White House correspondent Patsy Wadakuswara has this story.
President Joe Biden on Thursday celebrated the pace of his administration's effort to vaccinate Americans, hitting 50 million shots in 37 days, half of his target of 100 million shots in 100 days.
We're moving in the right direction, though, despite the mess we inherited from the previous administration.
More than 45 million Americans have been given at least one dose of the approved Pfizer or Moderna vaccine, with more than 20 million receiving both doses. A third vaccine is also nearing approval.
If the FDA approves the use of this new vaccine, we have a plan to roll it out as quickly as Johnson & Johnson can make it.
Unlike the Moderna and Pfizer vaccines, Johnson & Johnson's does not need to be stored in ultra-cold temperatures and can be given as a single dose. The company said it can deliver 20 million doses by the end of March. Biden said by April or May, there may be more vaccines than Americans who want them because of vaccine hesitancy. The administration is planning to launch a campaign to combat disinformation about the shots.
This epidemic of misinformation is also rampant in those populations that we need to target the most. And this includes African American and Latino populations where there is a historic hesitance and mistrust of the formal health system due to decades of abuse and poor treatment of these minority groups.
Biden also met virtually with the nation's governors on plans to speed up distribution even further.
The single most important thing after ensuring supply that the federal government can do is to standardize reporting. So it's clear in every state exactly what's happening. What percentage of people are getting vaccinated each week? What proportion of white, black, Latinx, Asian, Native American, Alaskan Native and American Indian populations are vaccinated, and how that compares with the statewide population. What gets measured can get managed. Right now we're flying blind.
Despite encouraging news, this week the U.S. surpassed 500,000 coronavirus-related deaths, which Biden marked with a candle-lighting ceremony and a moment of silence at the White House. Patsy Wadakuswara, VOA News.
And that's the news for now, but before we go, the headlines again. Government increases the 2020-2021 budget by 144 billion kwacha. President Lazarus Chakwera challenges students to be innovative in order to spur Malawi's economic growth. And Vice President Saulos Chilima highlights the critical role of engineers in the country's realization of the Sustainable Development Goals. You've been with me, Evita Soko. You can get more on these and other stories by visiting our website www.times.mw, liking our Facebook page Times360 Malawi, or you can follow us on Twitter at Times360 Malawi. Remember to wash your hands regularly, observe social and physical distance, and mask up. Please stay safe. Good night.
Hallelujah. Oh, Jojo. Why so much way? Hallelujah. Good news. Yeah. Zikita masulidwa. Tosefa? Kwa mungu ngobebera kwa mbili ndinabira. Atijani mungu wali masula nditu wanenetsa. Ba avia tisiye omwa.
Mungu ndo wapi na kama. Kuma nadeka ni vamono. Kumuna mungu anabatsamana na Israeli. Muchimuna mucha. Kunande msakuti. Mungu samalola. Kuti vuto litigwera usabereka njira kuti mulungutsira kuvula.
Zonadi.
Kule HIV komanso AIDS. Mulungu anali batsama yavi. Chikwene tisimwa basi mutsatira ndondomeko.
Kulinde uri mukutsutsana ndizimene mtumiki wa Mulungu wanena.
Abambo sindingatsutsane nanu. Ine ndikudziwa nditu kuti chikhulupiriro mupemphero kuphatikizapo kumwa mayeravi mwatsatira ndondomeko. Ndizotsatira zake ndi moyo wathanzi komanso wachisanga kuti kukhala uku. Kusiya kumwa mayeravi ndikuyesa mulungu wathu ndi umeneko.
Kumanditi.
Utengawu akukupatsirani ndaundo wa za umoyo mogwirizana ndi CHAM ndi thandizo lochokera ku PEPFAR.
Abwana muvale maski. Sindikufunika maski.
Abwana, simungalowe muno obanda maski.
Uku ndekuyesa anato. Bambo anga ndi bwana wankulu utu pa kampani pano. Dikira na imve nkhani imene.
Akuuza zoona mwana wanga.
Chani? Ndine ndemwe?
Inde, aliyense akuvala maski. Palibe kusankha. Ngati uli ndi kachilombo koyambisa COVID-19, maski yakoyo ikhoza kuteteza ena kuti asatenge kwa iwe.
Mukatero mukhala mukuteteza tonsefe.
Ndipo ngati ulibe COVID-19, maski yakoyo imakuthandiza kuti upewe utenga kachilomboko. Ndathokoza Jeni. Ndikhulupirira kuti kuyambira lero uzivala maski yakoyo monga mmene umakondera kuchena zovala zakozo mwana wanga.
Kodi dekoda yanu ya Go TV nthawi zina imathawa ma channel kapena sabwera konse? Musadere nkhawa, tsatani ndondomeko izi kuti mupange forced software upgrade. Choyamba, zimitsani dekoda yanu ndipo ichotseni ku magetsi. Kenako, yatsani dekoda yanu ukumukutsimikiza button la P+. Musalisiye buttonilo mpaka pamwamba pakanema wanu paoneke mawu oti core. Zikatele, tsindikizani button la P- katatu. Kenako, P+ kamodzi. Mawu oti core adzathwanima kawiri. Tsindikizani P+ kuti mutsimikize kodiyo. Kanema wanu adzathima mwakamphindi ndi kuyakanso. Kenako dekoda yanu iyamba kupanga upgrade software. Ikamaliza, mupeza ma channel onse abwera. Go TV. Love it.